everybody, and welcome to Cope with Hope. Today, I have three wonderful guests who are going to be talking to me about conflict resolution within the self and in our interpersonal relationships. Desiree Punwani, who I've known for many, many years. We've done many, many courses together, counseling courses and EFT and a lot of self-enhancing, self-improvement courses. Arvind Pitie, who did the Art of Living with me exactly 20 years ago, who works very, very hard on himself. He loves arts and culture. His business interests are in finance and in real estate. And Shanbhavi Alve, who is a psychologist, and she has her own online portal called Urja, the mirror within, the light within. And she also is part of the National Mental Health Society, working with people, especially during this time, during the time of COVID. So I'd like to start with Desiree. Desiree, you were recently telling me about how you helped 8th standard children resolve some of their conflicts. So will you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yes, certainly. So this was a long time back when my daughter was in school, and I had asked for permission to conduct a session with the children where I suggested to them that they could write a hate letter. Nobody was going to look at the letter. They could write what they wanted. They could even write a hate letter to their mother. And this safe space that we had created, so after they wrote the letters, we burnt them, and this, for them, they realized that they have taken out all the heat and they don't have to take it back again. So it was a message that I think really went through, because when I meet these children now, many years later, they tell me they remember that. They remember this letter they had written and how good it felt and how it didn't do any harm.
Yes.
So I really feel that whether it is for children or whether it is for ourselves, if we can create a safe place, a place to express ourselves safely, then whether it is the COVID lockdown or whether it is any other challenges that come up in our life, we know that we have a go-to.
Yes. Yes.
We know we have a go-to.
A safe space where you can be kind to yourself, where you can allow yourself to feel. And then the minute you start feeling something, it sort of starts resolving. And Arvind, you, I know, work very, very hard on yourself all the time. You're very aware of what is happening within you. You try and be as truthful as you can. You told me about a wonderful quote that you got yesterday. And we talked about synchronicity, that here we're going to talk about conflict resolution, and there you've received this quote by mail. So would you read it out for our audience and tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely, yes. This is by the master Thich Nhat Hanh. This came into my mail, just as we were talking about this topic. And it says, very often in a conflict, we believe the problem is the other person or group. We think it is all their fault, and that if they would just stop doing what they're doing or being the way they are, we would have peace and happiness. So we may be motivated by the desire to destroy the other side. We may wish they didn't exist. But looking deeply, we know that we are not the only ones who have suffered. They have also suffered. When we take time to calm ourselves down and look deeply into the situation, we can see that we are co-responsible, that we have co-created the conflict by our way of thinking, acting, or speaking, either individually or as a group or a nation.
Wonderfully.
So I found that to be so true. And when you read something like that, it hits you bang on, because very often we tend to, as human beings, blame the other person or blame the environment, blame the nation, blame the country, blame the government, blame the mother, the father, the husband, the wife, the spouse, the child, everything. And you don't think that actually it's all within, is that very often you attract that conflict, you attract that negativity.
Yeah.
So if you calm yourself down, if you observe, if you accept that, yes, this is the situation, and you observe and you work on it, and I think that's when you can handle conflict even with the outside world, when you handle conflict with it.
That's beautifully said. So Arvind says the minute you start handling that conflict within, the conflict externally starts dissolving. That's beautifully said. Desiree feels creating a safe space where you can truthfully address what is happening is a wonderful place also to be able to address your conflicts and let them work through you. So Shambhavi, would you tell me where you feel you would help somebody or yourself when they come to these situations in one's life where you feel upset about something or angry or frustrated? And very often what happens is you're not looking at things right, but you just constantly keep spiraling into that, and you say, whoa, there I go again. But so what would you do?
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that question, Nandini. So, first and foremost, the emotions that we experience, like you said, anger or say anxiety, worry, all of these emotions, firstly, if we look at the, the technical part of it, these emotions survive, or they can be there in a system for only 90 seconds. That is like 1.5 minutes.
Mm,
If it goes on for anything beyond 90 seconds, then it is only and only because of the thought which is propelling it. That is how it is. So, in a given situation, if I go on thinking and if I keep feeling angry, because generally this happens, something happened with me, say I had a quarrel, I had a fight, an argument, and then I am holding on to it for the entire day and I'm feeling that anger. Every time I think, I'm experiencing it. Why does this happen? Because every time we think, there is the same neural pathway in our brain which gets activated. And for our brain, the message that goes is, it is happening right now. And so our body and our system reacts exactly how it would have when the argument or say the fight was happening.
yes,
Now the stimulus has stopped existing, so that situation has stopped. The
yes,
emotion doesn't really have any base, but the only thing that is giving rise to it is our thought. So I think this is exactly what I try to tell my clients. I also practice it with myself. If out of nowhere, if it's just being in the moment, I suddenly get these bouts of anger or say worry for that matter, because I think anxiety has become such a common theme these days. Every second person is like, I'm so anxious, like right from a 5-year-old to
yes,
say an 80-year-old, everyone is experiencing anxiety. And anxiety again, if we look at the emotion, it comes from future, right?
yes,
Something that we do not know. When there is uncertainty, we have anxiety. That is what
yes,
we experience.
yes,
But the moment if we understand this, it is the emotion, it is the thought behind this emotion which is actually steering. It has a control. And if we can move in, if we can just bring a little shift in what we are thinking, immediately that intensity will go on, will reduce, and it will not really go on for anything more than 90 seconds or 1.5 minutes, right? So I,
wow.
I think we can just be a little more conscious and being a little more mindful, and we are sorted for the day then.
Wow, this is so exciting, guys. 90 minutes is the length and
90
emotion
90
last.
seconds.
seconds.
90 seconds, sorry, not minutes. 90 seconds, that's it. And then what continues is the thought. So you sort of you do that electrical, the trip switch with your thought, and wow, you're a winner. Yay! I love it. Okay, I'm going to keep practicing it. So Desiree, you were telling us before we started about your niece's wedding and how throughout this period of the pandemic, you've been telling yourself, it's okay, it's okay. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when the pandemic started, I had two things. One is, of course, this thing that this is a time to pause. Okay, this is a time to pause. And then as things went on, I realized there were things happening where the normal human contact that we have with people was being denied to us. And at every stage, I would keep saying, and I think so do most of us, that it's all right. It's a different time now, it's okay. Like one of the things I find very difficult to get my head around is that in happy times and sad times, we can't hug each other.
Yes.
you know so when she preponed her wedding and we realized we couldn't go, I said, it's all right. However, a couple of days back, something happened and I realized it's not all right. I was very troubled. I was upset at not being there. And this made me realize that there were many such things where I felt it is prudent at the moment not to look at it. However, I feel now that this lockdown is carrying on so long, and certainly for senior citizens, we've got it till December by the looks of it, we are all.
Right.
So I think now we need to change a bit. We need to start looking at what's happening and how we can accept. We can accept the sadness. Because there is a lot of sadness, that I'm sad that I can't reach out to someone. I'm sad I can't touch someone. I'm sad that my neighbor's child who used to keep coming to my home to play cannot come anymore.
Yes.
So I feel it's time now to touch that sadness, to feel it, and then to transform it into whatever we can transform it into, which can be useful to us.
I agree with you. I've done a panel on this about a month ago, because a lot of my friends were feeling this. They were feeling the loss, and they were feeling the need to express this. So many of us have not expressed it, because we've all lost a lot in these 5 months. We've lost out on friendships. We've lost out on, okay, fine, we may Zoom with them, but it's not the same as meeting somebody and sharing a cup of tea.
You're not touching.
And touching, Let's face it, you miss your granddaughter's birthday, you miss your sister's birthday. People have missed weddings, people have missed their parents and their children's funerals. And we have to acknowledge this loss. We have to acknowledge the sorrow. We have to mourn it in a way that's, that we're saying, yes, okay, I know you're feeling bad. Here, to our hearts. You're so right, Desiree. It's very important. That self-love and self-care. So, Arvind, where do you feel self-compassion and self-care fits into your life?
So, I think what happens is like what Desiree and Shanbhavi have said, is that the moment I think both of them have said the same thing, the moment you accept anything, whether it's sadness or it's an emotion or a thought, that itself is the starting point. And also to let go, because very often we just hold on to so many things, to emotions, to sadness, or to even to joys. I mean, our expectations are so high.
Yes.
And we keep actually it's good to be hopeful, but we keep thinking, okay, fine, we'll expect that everything is going to miraculously turn fine and it's going to go the way we want it to be or how it was.
Yes.
But let's also be patient and accept. And I think to be gentle on oneself, to love oneself, that, okay, fine, this is the way we are, how we are. We have negative emotions, we are sad, we are sorrowful. We sometimes even hold those down. As Desiree said, we have been, sometimes conditioned since childhood. Don't cry, don't let out, don't get angry, just hold on to it, don't let it out. So when it's all so restricted and you hold on to all of that, suddenly it all comes up, and it comes out as anxiety, or it comes out as a depression, or I think it's important, as you said, to let it out from time to time.
Yes.
And to share it, to communicate. I think it's very important to share and to communicate, and to very often we hold on to those emotions and feel like we're strong and, we have reached, we become the Buddha and all of that, but we are not there yet.
No.
So share it with somebody, whoever you trust, let it out. And I think it's important when you're all alone in this pandemic to let it out, to share it. And sometimes just share it within yourself, even in front of a mirror, just cry it out. Because I went through a difficult situation with my mother's bypass surgery earlier this year, in February. And the pandemic happened after that. And, it was all I went through anxiety that what's going to happen. And of course, the stress of that surgery at the age of 83 was a lot for me. And I had not, let go of my emotions. I just held on and suppressed all my emotions. And 2 or 3 weeks after the pandemic, I just found myself to be at a real low. And then I spoke to a couple of friends and some close people, and I just wept on the phone.
Very good.
And just doing that, to letting it out, just helped me. Okay, it's fine. It's going to be okay. This happened. This is it. We all go through it.
Yeah.
And also empathy. When you look at people around you and understand that what is happening in the world, what people are going through,
Yes.
and you put your situation in perspective,
Absolutely.
then a lot of things also change.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Arvind. So Shambhavi, tell me, where do you think this conflict starts?
So before I actually talk about where it starts, I think the first and foremost thing that we need to understand and realize is conflict is a very, very inevitable part of our life. And
Yes.
It will always be there. So, while this pandemic happened and the entire crisis happened, this is not going to be the last one, unfortunately. There will
No.
be a lot many coming our way
Yeah.
at individual level or community level. So right now, it's more like a community trauma that we all are undergoing.
Absolutely.
But this will continue for a long time, and not just Corona, but many different things.
Yes.
But what happened during these, say, last 5 months is most of us realized probably we have never developed those skills to deal with such a crisis. We never really expected it, and it happened overnight. It did not give us time to plan. The entire schooling system underwent change. People started working from home. So initially, all of this was fun. People were enjoying it, like, okay, we're not going out, we're working from home, students are studying on the internet, that is what it's their forte, so they're having fun. But suddenly they started realizing it, that this is no fun. End of the day, you want that social interaction, you want to go out, you want to go to your restaurant, if not touch, you just want to go out and breathe some fresh air. So we started valuing all these small little things, right? So with conflict, I think the major issue here is, it is the lack of skills. It is not really about the conflict. The conflict will always be there. So right now, what we need to start working on, and I always feel, it is never too late. Even if you're a kid, you're an infant, or say you're a senior citizen, I think you can start at any point, because skills, end of the day, can be developed, they can be sharpened, they can be learned. So we can always learn. So right now, what we need is to learn the skills to deal with the conflict. And I think all the panelists have been talking about it, and that's very, very important, about just unplugging yourself. So while it is happening, unplug. And by unplug, I do not mean to say detach from it, or kind of dissociate. No, that is not what I mean. By unplugging, I mean to say accept and just watch it. It is happening, but do not let that emotion, do not let that moment define you or your existence. So if you are feeling angry, if you're feeling anxiety, do not label yourself, I'm an anxious person, I'm an underconfident person, because you can't be your best throughout, right? That at times you will be in a better situation to manage a conflict, at times you will not be in that great shape to manage a conflict. But still, I think you still have the skills, and you can always keep developing these new skills to deal with any kind of conflict. And as early as you start, I think the better for the coming generation, I would say.
I love it. I love this. Like learning the skills. I call it being a sacred observer. Just seeing everything like a sacred observer. Even within yourself. Okay, so now I'm doing angry today. Okay. It's not always easy, but getting to that skill. And the gentler we are with ourselves and others, the easier it becomes, that skill, as you're saying, you know. And also a lot of the conflict becomes worse when you don't have that skill, when you feel drowned in it, like overpowered by it. Yes, Arvind, you were saying?
I just thought that there's some words come to me often. It says, which come with when I keep telling myself, it's okay, this too shall pass. It's okay, this too shall pass. I think when you say that often to yourself, it becomes easier. As Shambhavi was saying, that you just it's again accepting and observing, and it's all right. It's,
Yes.
this happens.
Yes. Desiree, would you like to say something about this?
Yes, I was just thrown back to our mothers, yours and mine. When Shambhavi said that it's never too late to learn. And if we learn now, this is a skill we can pass on, a lesson we can pass on to our
Yes.
children.
Yes.
And I was thinking that both of us were very fortunate to have mothers who were students of life right till the end.
Till the
they
day
lived
they
to a ripe
died.
age.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's such a wonderful legacy they have given us.
I agree.
And this is, if there's anything I want to pass on, I always say that I tell my children, I say, I can't give you wealth. That will depend upon whether it's there in your destiny or not. But how much I work on myself, how much I purify,
Yes.
and my sense of humor. This is what I want you to inherit.
My wealth for you.
Yes.
Yes.
And I always tell them, I said, in all this, don't forget the humor. Don't
Yes,
forget to inherit that from me.
Yes.
Don't forget to inherit my madness.
I
you know?
agree. Yeah, that's
So my elder daughter once told me, she said, don't worry, I already have few friends who think I'm quite mad. So I was very reassured.
That's so good. And about this learning, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Just now during the pandemic, I've done a 28-day program with Denise Lynn. So it's a Let It Go program where I was one of the 9 mentors. And it was fantastic. And I think I will keep learning and keep putting myself out there to stretch my mind and stretch me and not take myself so seriously that I have this badge and I have that certificate, because I think it's a never ending commitment to being the best version of oneself that one can be when we're on this path.
So
And
I want to say one more thing. I don't know Shambhavi's mother, but I know Arvind's mother very well.
yes,
And
she's
whereas
also
your
like
mother and I were more vocal in their learning, she's
Yes.
one of the quiet ones, the deep ones.
Yes.
And yet she not only learns, but she's constantly giving out her gentleness and her kindness.
Yes.
So I really would like to acknowledge that wonderful
No,
lady.
I thank you, Desiree. And I was just going to say that I'm very fortunate that I
Yes.
live in a home with a mother or a soul who has actually taught me through just by being.
Yes.
And I'm reminded of a word which is in the Gita, which is called the state of Sthita Pragya.
Sthita Pragya, yeah.
Yeah, which
That's
I
right.
will attempt to say, but I think one of you would be able to explain it better.
Yes.
That you accept every situation, be it happy times, good times, bad times, in the same state, in the
Yes.
same way, with the same sense of peace and calm. And that is what I have noticed in my mother, whether it was my father's sudden death 35 years ago, or whether when she is, right now, when she went through her surgery,
Yes.
and the doctor said, you have to have a bypass surgery at the age of 83. We were anxious. And she said, okay, you have to do it, you do it. And she
Wow.
told everybody, okay, I'll be fine. And the thing she said was that, I'm going to say it in Hindi, मेरे अंदर कुछ कर्म होंगे जो ये सर्जरी से निकल जाए.
Wow.
तो बस निकल गए. And
Fantastic.
I think it was a lesson for all of us. If
Yes.
that you can accept such a big conflict in your life,
Yes.
it taught me something that if you, as I said again, if you within can resolve a conflict, look what it does to the people around you.
Amazing.
As a result of that, we as a family, as a children, were calm, collected, focused, not hysterical, not emotional. The rest of the extended family, the doctors were amazed. They said, you are an inspiration.
Wow.
You have healed and you have got such a good recovery because of your own inner resolution.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So I think this is it, which I think we
Yes.
somehow all try to practice.
Yes.
And again, let go, okay, whatever is happening, let it happen.
Yes.
As you said, let it
Fantastic.
happen, observe it, and it will pass.
Wonderful. So Shambhavi, you work with children. So tell me how you do the resolution with them. Because children are very in the moment. children, he took that from me, she did this to me, and 5 seconds later they're playing, and they have this ability to just let go and move on, let go and move on, and express themselves very fully. So what would you tell them? How would you handle them? Because in a way, we are all like children.
We are like children, but I think children make better clients to me
I
as
agree.
compared to
They
adults.
listen.
Because they're very grounded, they're very real,
Yes,
and they express what it is like.
yes,
So that there is no, there's nothing too manipulative about them. They aren't
yes.
really thinking, what will this counselor think about me if I share? So they're
Yeah,
very vocal about whatever it is, whatever in
yeah,
that moment, or what happened to them, or what is bothering. They're very, very vocal with whatever it is. But I think, unfortunately, as they keep growing, we as society, we condition them so much that you're not supposed to talk this way, you're not supposed to,
yeah,
vent out, do not cry, and all those things that we hear, as a man, you're not supposed to cry, all those things that we hear
yes,
often. I think that is where the entire damage starts happening somewhere down the line, right?
yes,
But yes, with talking about my young clients, they're very receptive to anything and everything that I give them out. And a lot of techniques which I generally share with them. I think I could share even here one
yes,
of the techniques
please.
that I share with them, right?
Yes,
And I share often with all my clients, I would say, because it is fun and it is effective. And I think anyone and everyone can use it, right?
yes,
So I call this technique as a grounding technique. And there's a name to this technique, which we call it as 54321. Now, what we really do here is, let's understand the rationale first, okay,
yes,
quickly. Whenever we are, say, overwhelmed with an emotion, or we are under some heavy emotion, it is the right hemisphere of our brain which is super active, or say more dominant.
yes,
Yeah. And because of this, it is the logic, the the planning, and all the logical side, like the left hemisphere, which kind of can take over from the right. Okay, this is how it happens generally.
yes,
Now, if we want to bring this bilateral stimulation, as in we want to bring in this balance, what we do here is we do this grounding technique 54321, where we are using our senses, sensory organs, to bring back all our attention back to our body. So that it is not the emotion which is really taking a charge, but it is our cognitions, and we are able to manage in the given situation. So what we do here is, with 5, we are making use of our eyes. We are looking at 5 different stimulus in the environment, and we are getting into the details of these. Then we have 4. On 4, we go to the tactile sensation. So we are trying to touch whatever is there in our environment. We try to touch, we try to feel, and again, get into the details. It can be something like just going and, grabbing a piece of ice, or maybe some lukewarm water, trying to step into that puddle of water. Even that can be very helpful. On 3, we have sounds. So you're making use of your ears and try to get in touch with different sounds that you can, pick up on in your
wow,
surrounding. It can be a bird which is just chirping outside the window, a motorbike which just goes by. So all these sounds you're trying to pick up on. Then we have 2. On 2, we use our nose. By nose, we are going to smell whatever we can in the environment. If there's nothing that you feel, just open a bottle of your deo or a perfume, even that is fine. So trying to bring in your, nose and the sensation of any smell in the background. And the last one is for your tongue. When you're making use of your tongue to get in touch with the taste that you have in that given moment. So as a whole, this technique is
wow,
54321,
I
and it
love
is
it.
called a grounding technique. Very easy, very simple, and I think anyone and everyone, irrespective of which age, gender you are, you can use it. But this is very effective because in that given moment, it gives you better, skills to manage your emotions and bring in this bilateral stimulation of your both the hemispheres of the
Wow.
brain.
So I can
So
use this?
yeah,
I can use it?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yay! I'm going to, guys, I'm going to use this. I'm going to do a special program just for this. In fact, I'm going to ask Shambhavi to come back and do something with us. Yay, this is lovely. Thank you so much, Desiree. This is my third interview with you. It is always great fun. Thank you, Arvind.
Yes,
A
yes.
big hug to you, and please say hi to your mom. And Shambhavi, it's so nice to meet you for the first time. I've had such
Same
a
here.
wonderful time speaking to all three of you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.